طيب، بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رحمة المهداة والنعمة المستعان وعلاه. نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا، من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. أما بعد, we are discussing today a parents-children relationship from Islamic perspective, and there's a few points, about 7 of them, we would like to make today and open for discussions. And those chairs might be for sisters if they want to come sit here. The number one about children, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala consider the children and telling us are the gifts of Allah. No one entitled to have children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يخلق ما يشاء يخلق ما يشاء يهب لمن يشاء إناثا ويهب لمن يشاء الذكور أو يزوجهم ذكرانا وإناثا ويجعل من يشاء عقيما. Allah says that He grant people female children, inath. And the reason the inath, the female, mentioned first, because of the Arabs' misconception, misunderstanding, that the real gift is to have male children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the female first. يَهُ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ إِنَاثًا وَيَهَبُ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ الذُّكُورِ. And then He grant people male children. أو يزوجهم ذكرانا وإناثا, or He can give them both male and female children. ويجعل من يشاء عقيما, and some people will not be able to have children. For the children are hiba. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-Wahhab, bestower. He bestowed gifts on people. And that's why you read in the Quran, رَبِّ هَبْ لِي مِن لَدُنْكَ ذُرِّيَّةً طَيِّبَةً. Oh Allah, grant me good children. إِنَّكَ سَمِيعُ إيش? Dua. You answered the prayer. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ. We have granted Ibrahim alayhi salam the Ishaq ibn Wara Ishaq Yaqub. We gave him Ishaq and grandchild Yaqub alayhi salam. Therefore, we have to treat them as a gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 2, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give parent responsibilities with their children and give children responsibility with their parents. Let us start with the responsibility of the parents with the children. The responsibility of the parents with children is to raise them in a holistic way, not only provide them physical protection, which is they must, nutrition, which they must, shelter, which they must, security, which they must, but also a spiritual guidance. They have to be able to guide their children. And the spiritual guidance is what the challenge in America. How do you provide the spiritual guidance to children born, raised in the United States? Raising children in the West, it requires 2 qualities. Number 1, understanding Islamic teaching and understanding American context. It was Imam Ali, karramallahu wajhu, who said, raise your children for time is not your time, because they were created for the time is not your time. رَبُّوا أَبْنَاكُمْ عَلَى زَمَانٍ لِغَيْرِ زَمَانِكُمْ فَإِنَّهُمْ خُلِقُوا لِزَمَانٍ غَيْرِ زَمَانِكُمْ. They're not born for, therefore the time is not our time. I was talking to young people born raised in America who are parents now. They're parents of teenagers. And I said to them, when you went to public school, Herndon High School, at your time, is different than what it is now. You have the age of cell phone, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of this, social media, have changed the way we're parenting children. It's not the same. Have changed the whole atmosphere of household. Therefore, parents have to navigate the social context. And the social context has in itself two dimensions. The public square and the private space. The private space is a home, and if we consider a masjid is a private place with the community. And then the public square, which is having them to go to public school, interact with general public. How do we establish a relationship between those spaces? For us as an American Muslim, and Adam Center is the family and the masjid has to play a big role in shaping the identity of children. The masjid, first the family and the masjid. From the prophetic way of approaching this, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he shows a lot of love and care for his children. And he spent a lot of time in the home to play with them and to care for them, not only his children but also grandchildren, which I'm going to talk about the emotional support the parents have to provide for the children in a minute. Therefore, how to create a peaceful home. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best among you are the best to their family. I'm the best to my family. Therefore, parents have to create a peaceful home in order to have a healthy relationship with their children. Children are very observant. They observe what happened, the tension happening in the household. There's a right children have on their parents. The first right is to choose the right spouse before you get married. You choose the father and the mother of your children. That's the first thing. The second is to name them a name that will not shame them in public. And here, by the way, this is could be very tricky. Because a person said, Dad, my name Muhammad, is people make fun of it. I'm talking about a name that it's considered in itself is not of a good nature name. The third, this is from the hadith, by the way. The third is to teach the child basic principle of Islam based on the age of the child. Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah has an amazing formula in the book of Ihya Ulumuddin. What are the stages how to teach children? And he said, the first thing you teach a child is a basic principle of the relationship with Allah. Not theology, ilm al-kalam, and no, not that. Basic things. The second things, he said, let them around the activities of prayers and so forth. Before the age of 7, let them become familiar. Let them come to the masjid and so forth. The third is to teach them the basic things about tahara, purification, that make them to pray correctly, and teach them basic things about salah. And to teach them how to pray when they're age of 7, have them start praying, and to tell them become a must for them There's no excuse when they're 10 years old. This is one aspect of what's supposed to take in the home, place in the home. The other aspect of the home is the playing with children. For Imam Ali, Karamallahu wajhu, says, play with children, and especially when they're little children. And then when they become like teens, give them guidance. When they become in their 20s, become their friend. Have more relationship with them because you're going to treat them more than adult. You know, like more as adult. Now, there's certain aspect of this. It has to be customized. By the way, this is applicable in teaching in general, but it also applicable in raising children. Imam al-Ghazali, rahimahullah, and Ibn al-Qayyim, talking about how to cater teaching to students. But when it comes to children, they said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala distributed personalities as He distributed rizq. You have a particular child, have particular trait and personality different from the other child. And therefore, there's a general rules established in the household, but there's a customized care based on the need of the child. And when you play with children, when you show being affectionate toward them, also that has to be understanding of the personality of the child. But there's something called golden rule in raising children, is to be fair, to be just with the children. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, a man came and asked him to witness a gift he wanted to give to one of his children. Rasul said to him, have you given all your children the same gift? He said, no. To only one child. Rasul said, no, I cannot be witness for something not fair. أَعْدِلُوا بَيْنَ أَوْلَادِكُمْ. Be just and fair with your children. Now, the other things of the rise of the rise of children have been raised in with Islamic teaching is to model the behavior. تربية القدوة. What kind of model we establish in the home? If we don't pray even one Jama'ah prayer, we'll not call for the Jama'ah prayer, there's no adhan goes off in the house, how do you expect the children to pray? Children mirror the children, the behavior of their parents. If the prayer become important and people call for Jama'ah Salah in the house, then the child knows these are family activities. This is important to everybody in the family. Everyone being asked to do the same thing. But it's very important to model this in the household. The certain aspect of this is a dua that the family make together. After, when they pray Jama'ah, they make dua, and the children hear the dua that the parents making. Or you can assign sometimes children to make dua. To say, you make dua. You today you make the dua. It works. It's good. They internalize this, they want you to ask. And sometimes they make dua better than you as a parent. Okay? For you teach them those. You know, have them to make the dua in the salah. I call it the spiritual connection. You have to have a spiritual connection in the household. And the spiritual connection is the salah and the dua that you make together. This is all of it inside the house. Also, eating meal together. Sometimes it doesn't happen every day. It can happen maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, a meal, a dinner. And the meal is where the conversation takes place, where people check on one another and having chatting and talking and so forth. People talk about what happened to them their week, happened to them their day, and so on. You may have children away for college. When they come home, this is very important to have this meal around, because this is where you get a child back into to the family unit. For that is a important aspect of having a meal together. Now, a mother or a father can use an approach on customizing this one-to-one conversation by having either father or mother sometimes take a child, could be both, you can do both, take a child once in a while for dinner or lunch and so forth, to have that conversation. And if one parent have more time to do this, then the other parents report what's happening and so forth in the other, in the child life. From the prophetic perspective, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to play with family and engage with them until the time of salah came. When it was time for salah adhan, Rasulullah immediately switched to tell his family how important the salah is. قالوا كأنه لا يعرفنا ولا نعرفه, as if he doesn't know us when the time of salah comes. Okay. This is one aspect which is dealing with the relationship within the house. Then what is the relationship look like in the masjid? By parents bringing their children to the masjid. Many people get annoyed sometimes with children being in the masjid. Parents should teach their children how to behave in the masjid, no doubt about that. But the masjid has to be children friendly. Rasulullah has his grandchildren coming, and he left the minbar when his grandchild was tripping and walking, and Rasulullah left the minbar and he went and grabbed Al-Hussein or Al-Hassan and brought him to the minbar and held him. And he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, smiled to his grandchild. And he said, subhanAllah, look, this grandchild of mine, how, the love for grandchildren. It's very important to have that kind of environment in the masjid. Because one word, positive reinforcement said to a child in the masjid might determine how strong they become Muslims. And one word turn them off, going to impact them, create a scar in their hearts. Now, in America, we have something called Sunday school, Saturday school, summer programs, scouting. All of these are the programs will help to form the identity of children, which is provide them basic education, but also friendship in the masjid. The friendship in the masjid, it is important, because if the children can choose their friends first in the Muslim community, then they have the core safety net, social safety net. And then they can have a relationship with others. Now, I want to make this more interactive. You can ask me questions. I'm not going to talk the whole time. I hope not. This is the third point. I don't know if you've been following my points. Are you?
I'm writing, but not counting.
Okay, good. Okay. The other points I want to make is that understanding what I call it the the psychological, emotional challenges for parents and for children. Sometimes you may have a particular circumstance in the family that cause one of the parents, for example, illness, physical illness, to become less active in the children's life. And the burden becoming one child, one parent. It take a toll in that parents, and that parents, he or she to seek support from other than the spouse, than the word extended family comes in. One of the biggest problems happening in America in raising children is the absence of extended family. Absence of extended family. If you live in Sudan, you live in places, there's aunt and uncles and so forth. Many people don't have that. But you have to have, extended family helping. For when there's a parent's checked out and left the responsibility to another parent, very difficult for that parents to do it by themselves. They need extended family. Very interesting in Rasulullah life that the extended family, which is Rasulullah himself for the grandchildren, it helps Sayyidah Fatima a lot, radiallahu anha. When she misses Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein, you know where she find them? Always with their grandfather. She knows where they are. If not home, she goes and find them jumping and with their grandfather. Matter of fact, grandparents who have their grandchildren around them, they tend to live a healthier life. It's something that they look forward for. And this is a study, by the way, being shown. Studies, professional studies, of the impact of grandchildren and the well-being of the health of grandparents. Now, but there's a golden rule I'm going to say here. Grandparents have raised the children who are parents. They should not be given a responsibility to raise the grandchildren. Listen carefully. They raise their children. The children should not delegate of raising unless the absence of what? Of the parents themselves. Many people in the inner city been raised by the grandmother. Sometimes. If the parents are not involved, it's fine. But if the parents is around, parents should not delegate raising of the children to their parents. They have to establish a relationship with their own children, not to burden their parents of raising twice. They're raising them and raising their children. The problem comes in when people don't agree in parenting style. When parents say A, and the other parents say B. Sport or no sport? Should you go to the camp or not the camp? Islamic school versus public school. Okay? When a child have to wear hijab, when they disagree in principle, in basic things, in a way that they each one have completely different views, one of them the south, one of them the north, children see the tension, and get confused because they give different signals. What the parents need to do is to agree in parenting style. What are the things considered core values, not compromisable? What are the things called variables? In the variables, there's a lot of area of negotiation and so forth. But even in the variables, that they have to agree behind door. And sometimes when parents should yield to another parent, say, it's okay. You can make that decision. Okay. Now, we want to talk about the mental health of children. Many parents, they miss the signs of depressions, anxiety, and other mental health issues. Parents, when they see that the shift in child behavior, they're not getting up early, they're missing schools, they're sad all the time. Then you have to say, this child of mine might need other intervention. Not keep yelling at them, because depression is real. When sometimes the shift happens from public school or from Islamic school even to college, there's a separation anxiety sometimes. And therefore, if we don't provide for them the mental health help, then we're making wrong judgment, wrong call. We're making a wrong judgment call. And that's why my advice to the parents that you need to count that in, especially immigrant parents. They understand mental health is real. Children go to depressions, anxiety, and all kinds of other mental health issues that should be given to professional. There's some parents are very sensitive for the issue of counseling, because they say, if we take my child for counseling, somebody's going to ruin their mind. Thank Allah, Adam Center have 17 Muslim counselors. For those who cannot afford, we're subsidizing it. Until 17 mental health counselors. Now, that being said, I want to share with you some model and examples from the Quran of parenting. Is that okay? I'm doing okay in time?
Yeah.
No, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Open,
Yeah. Okay, I will just highlight and then you can read it yourself. Usually this is a workshop about 7 hours. Just summarizing it. From the Qur'anic perspective. Why I started with the practical thing first? Because I was worried that to run out of time. Because I'm going to give you the highlight and you will dive into the Qur'an yourself. Where in the Qur'an Allah talks about parents, do you think? Surah Luqman. Luqman and his son. Amazing advice. In Surah Luqman, you learn from the parenting the following. Priorities. What are the priorities issue with your children? Like Imam Ghazali said. Luqman started first with Tawheed, relationship with Allah. Ya bunayya la tushrik billah. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala established the healthy relation between the child and their parents, which is the issue of gratitude. The child have to have gratitude to their parents, acknowledging that. But Luqman, he used hikmah. Listen, one of the most important aspects of the parenting is using the word hikmah, wisdom. This is not all about parents only. I'm not going to divert from the topic, but it's in teaching in general. Anything you do is hikmah. The problem is that people have information, but they don't have wisdom. فرق بين المعلومات والحكمة. A person might have all kinds of information, but they don't have the wisdom. What is the wisdom? حكمة. حكمة وضع الشيء في موضعه. To put things in the right place, right time, right approach, right methodology. Understanding whom you're talking to, which is based on empathy. Empathy, that understanding where the person comes from, and then to be able to address the need of the person. Therefore, lack of hikmah, lack of wisdom, understanding when and how, that creates a problem in parenting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the first quality of this father is what? We have given him the wisdom. Then he told us, Luqman has many, Luqman al-Hakim, rahimahullah, was not a prophet, has many wisdoms, but Allah quoted only what for us? The parenting one. Because if his wisdom does not work in raising children, it does not work anywhere else. It's not good. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us how Luqman used that to talk to his child. If you read that surah, the Luqman, look to the order of advice. The last advice, he talked about how he talk and how he walk. That was not the beginning. Which is most of it is etiquette, but the other ones are core values that impact the walk and talk. Which is, just summarize them very quickly. Tawheed. 2, gratitude. 3, establishing prayer. 4, join what's good, forbid what's bad. 5, have patient perseverance. Then walk and talk with humility. Those are the values every parent should have in their mind of raising children. Go to the story of Yusuf, alayhi salam. What are the values of the story of Yusuf? Quality time. Make the child open to you, tell you about their dreams. Give them guidance how to fulfill their dreams. When your children mess up, like the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, how to maintain conflict, how to keep the family together, how to encourage them to have family reunion, how to have the brothers bear the responsibility of taking care of their brother. All of that in Surah Yusuf. You go to the story of Musa alayhi salam. You learn a different concept. What's the concept? Concept of responsibility. Give your children tasks. Make them involved. Take care of this. The older take care of the youngest siblings. Give them assignment. Mother of Musa gave her daughter assignment to follow her brother. Correct or not?
Yeah.
Okay. Therefore, she delegated that responsibility to the daughter, because when you read the Quran, you have to read how the Quran dealt with male and female children. In this relationship is a mother and a daughter. There's another relationship in Quran of a father and daughters. What's that story? Of Shu'aib and his daughters. They were taking care of their father. And let me just go to the story of Musa, then I'll go to them. The story of Musa alayhi salam, responsibility. The second, bravery. She told her daughter to be brave, to go to the house of Pharaoh. Daughter, not a man. You know, the daughter, bravery. The third is the wisdom. Show the child how to deal with difficult situations. That's why he suggested to her, the mother to be united. So she gave her those skills. She created leadership, groomed her for leadership, her own daughter. And then the nursing, breastfeeding a child. So I have a discussion I have this evening. Allah ordered the mother of Musa to breastfeed her son, to establish a bond between her and her son. We're talking about parents' responsibility toward the children. How do you create a bond between you and the child? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed the grief of the mother. You right house her son, which is something that you have to consider, not to separate a mother from her child or a father from his child. No parent should be punished by saying you cannot talk to your children and so. No. Was a father or a mother? That's very important, by the way. even in case of divorce. You cannot deprive one parent from that child. Unless there's extreme circumstances and so forth. Now, the other aspect of this, this story of Musa, I want to talk about Shu'aib. And Shu'aib's story is the relationship of adult children, not small children, so adult children. The other children, they are the ones who are taking care of their father, because the roles switch. The two daughters, they are the ones who providing with water. وَأَبُونَا شَيْخٌ كَبِيرٌ. Now, the openness they have with their father, they told him about the man who helped them. They could have said, hush, don't tell my father that a guy helped us. Just tell we did it ourselves. No. The one that said, there's a handsome guy, good guy, very strong, trustworthy guy who helped us. The father says, go and bring him so I can reward him. The girl, she knew that she wanted to marry this man, Musa alayhi salam. And the reason, the hints here, he said, Ya abad istajirhu. How are you going to hire a man with only two daughters in the house? You get my point? Abuna, for she hinted to her father like, you should marry one of us. لخير ما استأجرت القوي الأمين. يعقوب شعيب قالت عند في السودان يقول فهيمة طايرة. He get it. He said, okay, I'm gonna have you to work for me, but marry one of my daughters. And then he married one of the daughters of Shu'aib, become his son-in-law. The point here is that how the relationship Shu'aib alayhi salam have with his daughters and the openness, Sayyidina Shu'aib alayhi salam. Give one more example, we'll end it.
One more, please.
One more example. Is the relationship between Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail. Is a relationship that involved project in community, which is not in the household only, but the relationship of trust that between the father and the son, to the extent the son said to the father, interpret the dream, افعل ما تؤمر, willing to sacrifice himself, Ismail alayhi salam. The second is that the intergenerational relationship between Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam. And that's something very important in raising children or in educational system. All education, traditional educational system were intergenerational. You know that or not? Of relationship, not of formation given. Imam Magid, rahimahullah, was a student of Shihab al-Zuhri, become like his father, spiritual father. And Rabi'atul Rai. And the mother said, go and learn from Rabi'atul Rai, from his, rahimahullah, from his manners before from his books. Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ismail alayhi salam relationship was such that when Allah ordered the Kaaba to be built, Allah wanted Ibrahim alayhi salam to have Ismail included in building the Kaaba. Why? Because Ibrahim alayhi salam does not live in Mecca. How can you build the Kaaba and you say to your son, okay, we build it for you, take care of it? No. It has to be a sense of ownership. And the fear in America of raising children, that our children separating themselves from institutions. They don't take sense of ownership for the masjid. But you want them when they become professionals, then they push the stroller, which should take care of the children, but also donate to the masjid, involve in the masjid. For Ibrahim alayhi salam, was he raising the foundation of the Kaaba, Ismail alayhi salam was next to him. وإذ يرفع إبراهيم القواعد من البيت وإسماعيل ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. Allah accept this project from us, you are the all hearing and knowing. Then Ibrahim alayhi salam made a dua, ربنا وجعلنا مسلمين لك. Very interesting. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he didn't say, oh Allah, make my child a good Muslim. Ismail alayhi salam heard his father making dua for himself and for his child. He said, رَبَّنَا وَجْعَلْنَا مُسْلِمِينَ لَكَ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِنَا أُمَّةً مُسْلِمَةً لَكَ, and make our progeny also Muslims. What he put in the seed in the father, the son, this project, for you to sustain your Islam and the Islam of your children, the building the masjid in Leesburg, which is across the street here, across the, inshallah. So that you stay as Muslim, but your children and grandchildren remain Muslims, which is the idea of involvement in the masjid. I don't want to talk about sense of belonging to the larger society. That's another discussion, because this one of my 7 points is that, which is the conclusion of it actually, them, is that how then children navigate and the parents navigate the public square. The public square. And that's a challenge, because you don't live in isolation. How do you engage children in society and build confidence in them and strong identity? I gave it to Khutbah al-Jum'ah, but here in Leesburg, but the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas of confidence building, taught to 10 years old, that to become mindful of Allah and Allah will protect them. Be there, Allah will be with you. If you ask Allah. If you seek help from Allah. That hadith is called confidence building. You know, let me, I said that many times to you in Leesburg, we can say one more time. Islam is beautiful. Islam is a beautiful religion. Islam has the ingredients of building good society, healthy family, strong community. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. السلام عليكم. Any questions?
Assalamu alaikum. So inshallah, we'll take questions. Any questions on the brother side, inshallah? Any hands? If not, from the sister side, any questions? I can bring the mic.
Salam.
My question is, if you can discuss the importance of the role of a father in the life of the daughter and the role of a mother in the life of a son.
That's exactly what the Quran talks about. It's very interesting. Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the impact of mother of Musa alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam. Like this, in the story of Yusuf, for example. In the story of Yusuf, there's a mention of the father and the son. In the story of Musa alayhi salam, is the mother in the picture and the father is not in the picture. But you have seen, I just mentioned to you, how Shu'aib alayhi salam have relationship with his daughters. Like, how many young lady come to the father and says, I have a guy. In some culture, it's not good to tell, even to say that, or to suggest someone. But from the Islamic perspective, if you say the Khadija even asked Rasulullah to marry her. I believe that the model that we have in the Rasulullah relationship with his daughters was an amazing model. How Rasulullah with the Sayyidah Fatima especially, radallahu anha, alayha salam, that every time he came from a trip, he stopped by her home first. Every time he saw her, alayhi salam, radallahu anha, He stood up and kissed her on her forehead. She used to talk like him and walk like him. قالوا أشبه بأبيها. He told her, whisper in her ear, عليه صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم, سيدنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, that he is leaving. She started crying. Then he'll tell her that you'll be the first of my family joining me. She started laughing. For a relationship, sometimes people make a mistake. Says the father should have a relationship only with the boys, not with the girls, and the mother. You have to have both. Now, in the Quran, Allah gave an example of Maryam alayhi salam and her mother, and Maryam alayhi salam and Zakaria, because Zakaria become like her guardian. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave example of Musa alayhi salam and his mother, but gave example of Yusuf alayhi salam and his father. But you have to learn from those dynamic of those relationships. I do believe that girls say more things to their mother than their father. In general, supposed to be, if the mother establishes a relationship with their daughters in a way that there's certain things, daughter will be shy to tell their father certain things. It's natural. And the son may have more relationship with their father, supposed to be. But having people just to have to divide the role by saying the father established a relationship with the son, and that's the wrong thing to do. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Another question?
Do you have any questions from sisters and brothers side?
Yeah.
Two hands, inshallah. Now I'll go to the right side first, and then I'll come to go ahead.
Assalamualaikum. Do you have any advice about dealing with the transition of when your child's moving from that second 7 years to the third 7 years?
To 10 years.
Well, like going from 13 to 14.
Or 13 to 14.
Yeah, so when they're going from, because there's the hadith of the first 7 years, second 7 years, third 7 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you deal with that transition from going from your teaching to advice?
Good. There's something called change of hormones. Have you heard of that? When the hormones kick in, then you have to understand something else is going to happen. And the attitude of children want to assert themselves. The minute the boy, his voice become a little bit like a man, and a little bit of hair showing, especially later, then they want to assert themselves. They push back. Family has to have rules. It's not laissez-faire. Family have to have rules. And the rules has to be reasonable rules. The child in that transitions, they has to be told the issue of more responsibility, because especially when they become mukallaf. What's mukallaf in English means that they be held accountable before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for missing salawat and so forth, the age of puberty. That transitions, by the way, sometimes happen, girls and some boys even, they become young men and young women in age of 10 or 11. You know that. How do we then that transition of adult children? Adult children. They are age-wise they are young, but biologically they are adult. Interesting enough, some ulama, Muslim scholars of the past have dealt with this issue. The transition is the transition of responsibility. how gradually they make a child realize the responsibility and understanding what are the things that now expect of them. That require the openness of conversations and understanding the mental health and psychological well-being of the child. For example, I just want to be very careful on what I'm about to say. I don't like anything to misunderstand me. A girl who have reached womanhood 10 years old. Do you force? No, you should not force anything. Do you demand for her to wear a scarf if she's not ready? Listen, talk about Sharia. There's something so required in Sharia, but there's something so called Sharia, Islamic law deal with circumstances of the emotional maturity, mental maturity. You don't like to create nifaq, hypocrisy. The girl put her scarf in front of her parents. The minute that she's in the bus with the public school moving, she remove her. You're creating hypocrite children. Because, see what I'm saying? That require a skillful way of dealing with how to raise children. In the issue of what are the priorities in addressing the need of the child. The other things that, you know, there's the hadith of Nu'man ibn Bashir, radallahu anhu. You know this hadith? In 40 Nawawiyah. سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, I heard Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم saying, الحلال بين والحرام بين. What is lawful is clear, unlawful clear. وبين أمور مشتبهات. Between them there's gray areas. Whoever stay away from the gray area, protect themselves, same from the haram. But listen, there's many times your children in the gray area. The doctor, huh? How do you navigate maintaining the gray area, how them to stay in the gray area without crossing the border, the boundaries? And how to move them from the gray area to green area? Because the other is red area, you know that? It's green, gray, and red. I'm not calling it white. You realize? I'm not calling it black. There's a green area, and there's what? Gray area, or brown area, or reddish area, whatever you call it, and there's a red area. Don't get there. That how do you navigate this space in the middle? It requires fiqh of raising children. You hear what I'm saying? But this transition, it requires a lot of wisdom. Require and customize the advice based on the child, readiness of the child. But it requires conversation, require understanding the hormones and the change that making. But every 7 years, there has to be a transition. And that transitions, understanding the mental state, the psychological state, the physical ability of the child. And since my wife is here, and she's an educator, do you have anything to add? Okay. No, she said she don't add anything. Yes, go ahead.
We love to hear something.
So,
How do you navigate between leniency and discipline? Because there's a time for everything, right? There's a time for leniency and there's a time for discipline. And what's the definition of discipline in the Islamic tradition? And what's too much?
yeah, another good question. That how to differentiate between leniencies and discipline. By the way, lenience is part of discipline. Sometimes you let go, part of the discipline itself. What do I mean by that? In order to create a way or a means and ways of telling people consequences, you have to tell them, at this time, I'm letting go. That's leniency, am I correct? Next time, I'm not going to let go. That's, you see, part of the discipline process. Because people sometimes say either or. As I said before, you have to establish rules. Bedtime, sometimes it's difficult to enforce it. Clean the dishes, clean your rooms, You have to keep repeating things. But Salah, Fajr Salah. Want you to come to Salah. Good. The most important aspect of this is how do you enforce the law or the rules. Harshness, being harsh, is not the best way to do it. A person can be firm and soft at the same time. You heard that before? What I mean by this? Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was very firm with his companions, but he was very merciful, of compassion, of how he conveyed his message. For example, somebody wants to enforce the rules, but calling the child lazy. You're not good. You are a waste. That's not enforcing the rule. That's insulting people. Being firm is to establish consequences and to stick with it. To say, if you don't do this, this will happen. Okay. But also establish incentive. Consequences and incentive. For incentive, people consider leniencies, but it's part of discipline because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in disciplining us, what He did. Jannah and Nar. Punishment and mercy. But it's part of it. For a person to have. Now, to address your question in behavior, there's some parents, everything goes. Oh, they're going to learn later. No. You have responsibility to discipline a child. For example, if a child wearing clothes that is not appropriate, a child is 11 years old, and the parents are like, I don't know why my child wearing this. I said, who buy the clothes? Who bought the clothes? The child have an account? No. You went to the mall with them and you bought the clothes. Oh, I didn't want to break their heart. No. You have to teach them the right thing. Everything goes. That's not good. It's not good for them in this dunya and not good for the akhirah. Many children, they wish if their parents have disciplined them. Because they grow up, there's no guidelines. Because you have to have that. Time for this, time for that. And the worst thing happened when our parents said, I want to be the spoiler. I'm going to spoil them. You discipline them. No. Don't do that. Because one of them is good cop, bad cop. The children are going to say that my mother loved me more than my father. Well, it is a problem. Okay. What?
Just one more question, right?
Yes, one more question.
Yeah, so he can.
Is there anybody? From the sister side, anybody? No.
Yes.
Sorry. What is the limit where the parents can seek help when they feel like the relationship, the parent and the child, at a point where an outside help might be needed?
Mental health issue. It requires outside intervention. Sometimes with mental health issues say this is sihr, this is that, and then children suffers. When there's a condition, a child may have a particular condition that requires intervention. When the children are adult children or teenagers and so forth, and now they have different perspective than their parents, then may a person seek a third party to sit and to counsel both to improve the relationship between the parents and the children. A man came and a man come and complained to Umar radiallahu anhu about his son. And the son said, before you listen to his complaint, ask him what did he do for me. And the son complained and he said, my father did not do this, and that, and that. Then Umar radiallahu anhu said, your son has a point. You wronged him before he wronged you. But it's very important sometimes to get this perspective of why my child is not listening. Can I say, really, I want to end this today in a good note. Don't give up on your children. No matter how far they went, don't give up on your children. If you take nothing from this talk, they accept this. Nuh alayhi salam, the last minute was wishing that son to join the ship. Ya bunay irkab ma'ana, ya bunay irkab. Not only that, he was grieving his child. He said, Ibni min ahli. Therefore, don't give up on his children. Keep the door open. You know the challenges they're facing in the society? Keep inviting them back to the ship. Open your heart for them, so that they can come back to the door. That's why you seek intervention. There's certain things in our community is the issue of shame. I don't want people to know my child have done this. I don't want my children to do that. There's no shame if you struggle with your children. Prophets struggle with their children. Nuh alayhi salam struggled with his child. There's no shame. Seek help. Let us seek help. Ask people to help us when we have crisis in our family. When we notice that the child is in depressions, mental health issues, we seek counseling. We ask people to help our children. There's no taboo. Although it's a taboo, it's not so be a taboo for mental health counseling and help. Yeah. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما تفرقنا من بعيد تفرقا معصوما. تجعل فينا ولا منا ولا بيننا شقيا ولا محروما. ربنا هب لنا من ازواجنا وذرياتنا قرة اعين واجعلنا للمتقين اماما. ربنا اجعلنا مقيم الصلاة ومن ذرياتنا ربنا وتقبل دعاء. اللهم احفظ ذرياتنا واولادنا وازواجنا. Allah, protect our family and children, our children and grandchildren. Oh Allah, we ask you to have us to have a home that's full of love and mercy and tranquility. Allah, make us our spouses and our children the comfort of our eyes. Allah, make us among those who establish prayer and the children establish prayer. Oh Allah, make Islam continue to be in our progeny until the day of judgment. Oh Allah, do not make our children or progeny disconnect with Islam, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Wallah, we ask you to make our masajid, our institution, a place where our children grow as strong Muslims. Wallah, we ask you, Allah, those who are struggling with their children and have difficulty with their children, Allah, unite them back and soften the heart of their children, the soften heart of their parents. Wallah, those who have lost children, Allah, give them comfort and address their grief, Ya Rabbil Alameen, but give them serenity and comfort in their hearts, Ya Rabbil Alameen, and unite them with their children in paradise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our parents and grandparents, widen their grave, shower them with His mercy. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله